Everyone, we're on chapter 4 and we have last two paragraphs to do, and we're going to start with 32. Still less can the principle, the perceived world is my mental picture, be claimed as obvious and needed no proof. Schopenhauer begins his chief work with the words, and this is a quote, "The world is my mental picture. This is a truth which holds good for everything that lives and cognizes. Though man alone can bring it into reflection, into reflective and abstract consciousness, if he really does this, he has attained to philosophical discretion. It then becomes clear and certain to him that he knows no sun and no earth, but only an eye that sees a sun, a hand that feels an earth, that the world which surrounds him is there only as mental picture, that is, only in relation to something else, to the one who pictures it, which is he himself. If any truth can be asserted a priori, it is for this one, for it is the expression of that form of all possible and thinkable experiences, which is more universal than all others, other than time, space, or causality, for all these presuppose it." And this is back to Steiner. "This whole theory is wrecked by the fact, already mentioned, that the eye and the hand are percepts no less than the sun and the earth. Using Schopenhauer's expressions is his own sense, we could reply. My eye that sees the sun, my hand that feels the earth, are my mental pictures just as much as the sun and the earth themselves. That with this the whole theory cancels itself, is clear with no further argument. For only my real eye and my real hand could have the mental pictures sun and earth as modifications of themselves. The mental pictures eye and hand cannot have them. Yet it is only of these mental pictures that critical idealism is allowed to speak." And we have summarized 32 as, "Critical idealism falls apart because mental pictures are assumed to have no basis in reality." Again, as Steiner points out, for critical idealism, they argue all this about everything is a mental picture, but it's only your real eye and your real hand that can see. Okay, so as Steiner mentioned, your hand and your eye are percepts nonetheless. So that means they're objects of observation, and it just goes to support his idea. Because, as he says, only your real eyes and real hand can have this mental picture that you have about various objects. So I'm going to go on to the last paragraph, which is paragraph 33. "Critical idealism is totally unfitted to form an opinion about the relationship between percept and mental picture. It cannot begin to make the distinction mentioned above between what happens to the percept in the process of perception and what must be inherent in it prior to perception. We must therefore tackle this problem in another way." And the summary for 33 is, "We must take another path, as critical idealism cannot make the distinction between what happens to the percept during the process of perceiving and what must be present in it before it is perceived. Also, critical idealism cannot form an opinion of the relationship between percepts and mental picture." So that's basically all of chapter 4. And the main point Steiner is making is that one pillar of how we know the world is based on observation, which he talks about the percept. A percept, again, is an object of observation. And in the previous chapter, he talks about thinking as the other pillar. So we have thinking and observation, and percept is what observation gives us. When we observe something, we get a percept, which is an object of observation. Example, a table, a car, whatever. And he brings up the point of critical idealism as a theory of knowledge, and he shows it's not a very valid one simply because it doesn't understand the relationship between mental picture and object, and it confuses that concept of mental picture. And again, he's pointing out the need to distinguish what a mental picture is, and that's very important in his theory of knowledge. And so that is pretty much the summary of chapter 4. Some parts have been confusing, but you know what, I think I've explained things well enough, and that we all have an understanding of what he's trying to say. So we're going to move on to chapter 5 next time. So hopefully this makes sense to you. Okay? If you guys have any questions, you can email me. I'm going to probably maybe try doing diagrams, because we're all very visual people, and I don't know how much information is being retained by me just simply talking about it, but I might do diagrams. I'm not a very artistic drawy person, but I'll do stick figures for you guys if I have to, but whatever. I'll figure it out, maybe make it more visual, because that'll help you guys understand his concepts. So keep reading, and happy thinking. Bye.